Hey, this is Oliver Luck, and you're listening to the XFL Extra Point Podcast.
Since the day you saved my soul, you've been proving this is the XFL.
Hey, what's going on, guys? XFL Extra Point number 16. I'm Justin. I'm here with Thomas. Thomas, say something so people know you exist.
Hello, I'm barely here.
What?
Did it not pick up?
No, it picked up.
Oh.
You just mumbled a bit.
Oh, I'm very tired. Hello, it's me, your boy.
All right, well, one day you'll come up with something. I think you had a pretty good one on our recap show.
I was pumped for my son. My son's excelling.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we're going to do our usual stuff. Listener questions, news and notes, and then it's our preview episode for week 2.
Whoa.
Thomas is tired. We're doing this super late. It's like 10:30 at night. He just got off work.
Yeah.
So, head over to Twitter. Follow us there. I'd really like to hit 1,000 followers on Twitter this week.
That'd be really cool.
You know how cool. That'd be really cool. So follow us. Go to @XFL Extra Point. Follow us. We tweet a lot of shit on there. During the games, I live tweet the shit out of them. So, like a lot. Like probably too much. I probably actually annoy people. We might lose followers, but I don't know.
Fuck it.
You can also ask us listener questions there.
Absolutely.
And we're going to answer those in those shows. We only got 2 this week. You can either DM us on Twitter. You could just tweet at us. I see those too. Or we have an email that I checked today and didn't have anything in it. That email is extrapointcontact@gmail.com. You can send them there too if you don't use Twitter. But, all right. So let's get into it. Let's do our listener questions first, and we'll get our news and note drop going. All right. First listener question. All right. John Finnell. He's a repeat listener question asker. @JFinnell32. He asked, do you think teams will start running the ball more? Also, do you think that the XFL will add stats to their app? I'd like to keep up with who the league leaders are. That's a good point.
Yes.
Do you think teams will start running the ball more?
We'll see. It's not really there's not an indicative answer to where it's like, oh yeah, then teams across the board need to start running the ball. I think certain teams will. Like, I think the Vipers are going to.
Yeah, because they did well running the ball. That was probably the saving grace of their offense.
I think the Battlehawks will try to, because I think they kind of desperately want running attack to work.
I don't have that stat here right on me, but y'all had the most rush attempts.
Yeah. So, oh shit. Well, I think we're gonna try to keep hammering with that and try to kind of get success from that. Just take some pressure off of a young blossoming all-star QB.
And we're seeing that running quarterbacks are working, so I could expect quarterbacks to run more too.
Mm-hmm. So I think actually yes, I think teams will run the ball more. I think the first week, I think they kind of try to this is our offense. Let's set the tone. Blah 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 blah. So
and this league was designed to be a high flying passing league.
Yes. So.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Second part of his question also, do you think that the XFL will add stats to their app? And I was surprised. I looked after I saw this question. They don't. Mm-hmm. And there should be some kind of leaderboard. Yeah. I'd like to see who are the league leaders. Yeah. That would be important. So, yes, do I think they will? I think, right?
I mean, that'd be a good idea, but maybe that's not what they want the app to be used for. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, they have other stuff. Like, you can kind of see the stats. Like, they'll have articles in there that have stats included, but it's not really just... They have a stats page on their website.
Yes.
So I guess it wouldn't be too hard to put it into the app. But what was I going to say? I forget. Ooh. I don't remember my last point on that.
Okay. Great.
But they should.
Yes, that'd be good.
Do I think they will? I remember my point was, do I think they will? They have that fan advisory network, so if people are asking for it, and they're supposed to be listening to that and getting inspiration from that discussion board. So people are saying, hey, I'd like a stats thing on an app so I don't have to look up the actual website.
Mm-hmm. Well,
they'll add it. So
maybe that's by design. Because are there ads on the XFL website?
I have ad blocker on.
Well, fuck.
So I don't know.
Okay. Well, maybe that's why they want people looking at the website. But otherwise, I don't see a reason to not have stats on the app. So
yeah,
yes,
it would make sense.
That would make a lot of
All right,
sense.
let's move on to our second question from our boy Reagan.
Big Reagan.
XFL Down Under @XFL Down Under on Twitter. Go follow him. That's the guy to follow. One of our close friends of the show since the very beginning.
Yes.
Since like in our first like 5 episodes ever.
Yes.
He provided us some content, so that big shouts out to him.
Yes.
He asks, "What's your thoughts on being able to listen in on the coach calling out the play?" So we kind of discussed this last week. So let's discuss it again.
I love it. I think it's great for the fan
yeah.
experience. It's not so great for the coaches, but fuck them.
Yeah.
Because that shit's cool.
It's funny to see on the sidelines them still covering their lips with the
when you can hear them 100%.
I'm like, I don't know if that's muscle memory. They just didn't know that their play calls are being blasted.
What if they didn't know? That'd be hilarious. And then like
they know by now.
Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely. Well, wasn't it like Pep Hamilton that was like, I need to change all my terminology now week to week because fuck.
In Jim Zorn, there was like an interview with Jim Zorn where he said like, I didn't know they were going to have so much access.
Wow. So they definitely they're like, God, fuck. So hey, maybe that stops. Because maybe
I don't know if it'll stop. I think people liked it too much.
Yeah. I don't know.
I think they're literally just going to have to change their terminology every week.
Can't be too hard. Well,
that would be my guess.
Maybe it'd be pretty hard. I mean, depending on how complex your offense is. Because if you have like...
I assume it can't be that hard. I think the big ones would be like left and right.
Yeah.
You just change what means left and right each week.
All right. But that'd be hard, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I guess no, because I'm thinking if you like flip-flopped it, but probably shouldn't do that because that would actually be difficult.
No, it'd be like instead of things that start with L...
Things that
are
start with
left
P.
and things that start with R are right. We'll just make it things that start with 1 are left, or with even numbers are left and odd numbers are, they just change it up something every week.
What was ours in high school? Was ours Harvard and Oregon? Or I'm just making that up.
Dude, I don't remember.
Well,
I think I was kind of responsible for that shit.
Well, you were the center, so yeah. I didn't make any calls because I was terrible at football. So
yeah, that used to be my strong suit, but I forget that's all too much information. You can only You can only remember. There's some saying, but you can only remember a certain amount of things, and that hasn't stuck.
Yeah, fair.
All right. Well, that's listener questions. Let's get on to our news and notes drop. Ba-boom.
Ba-boom.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it, and we'll do it live.
First story. XFL's initial TV ratings and attendance numbers are strong. So the first TV ratings came out for all the games over the weekend. They were great. The first game that came out, that was on ABC, that was Defenders, Dragons. So it was Dragons at Defenders. That game averaged 3.3 million viewers, reached roughly 4 million by the end, according to ESPN PR. Comparatively to the AAF, so you guys know what the AAF is.
The AF?
The AF, the league that failed last year, that lots of things are going to be compared to between these two leagues. So week 1 for the AAF had a peak of 2.9 million. So our peak was 4 million. That's pretty good. It's pretty strong.
It's not bad.
Though over the course of the entire weekend, averaged about the same. So it averaged out to 3.12 million viewers, which is pretty much just on par. I think there's actually might have been like 3.2 million viewers. They were slightly higher, but I think overall, I think the more important thing is this week and then the week after.
Yes.
And the week after that. That's more important than this opening weekend. So I think that's the biggest thing we're taking out of this. We just got to make sure there's staying power. These ratings will be a lot more indicative of what's coming.
I think what also helps is that the games aren't like on a fucking Tuesday at like noon. And they're actually like not necessarily a prime time slot, but like it's Saturday. It's
some of them are, like 7 o'clock on a Saturday is a pretty good.
But that's
time.
just good, I think that's actually a big reason why the AF didn't do as well because the games were in the middle of the workday. So
and you couldn't find them.
You couldn't find them.
Occasionally, you'd find one on it.
Yeah,
but sometimes they were like on Bleacher Report Live and shit. Like,
Jesus Christ. Yeah,
it was like these are on broadcast
too.
Big networks where people just be scrolling through their TV and see them.
And also just the XFL so far is just a much better product from top to bottom. Not even just in terms of like players, but in terms of just like, God, sorry, my dog just chewing a belt. Fuck. It just in terms of like the presentation and just seems way more professional, honestly, across the board.
Yeah.
So.
And like I feel like Vince McMahon, I don't know how much he has a part in this, but he knows how to make a crowd look more into it and fuller than it is.
I think
and he's smart about shooting
yes.
the lower bowl
I think,
and not getting that upper bowl.
I think the extent of Vince McMahon's involvement in the XFL is I'm going to put the money and then I'm going to hire this person who's going to hire this person who's going to hire this person. And then that's it. True. Because I think if Vince McMahon was in any way directly involved with this, I think this thing would have crashed and burned already, unfortunately. So
that's fair. I'm curious how much crossover there is. Like how many WWE like production people are involved.
I doubt, because it's a separate, isn't it? Like not a separate entity.
It's called Alpha Entertainment.
Yeah.
Is what owns it.
Okay.
I think. But,
okay.
But Fox does SmackDown.
Okay.
So I don't know if there's any crossover there, but since they're hosting these games, the other thing, the only game that's not on so everyone pretty much, if you have cable, if you have broadcast in any way, you're gonna have ABC, ESPN, and Fox. You may not have FS1, so that's the only one. I don't have the exact number for that game. I would assume that game's probably the lowest.
Yeah.
It's not as readily available, but it's pretty readily available.
Yeah.
Lots of people have it,
yes.
but it's not on everything. So that'd be the only other thing. All right, let's move on to our second story, and this is also somewhat related to the first story, but it's a different metric for us to talk about. So, a lot of people comparing the AAF and the XFL because of recency, whatever. We already explained that.
Yep.
And they had similar numbers in viewership. We already explained that. But there's another measure of interest that we're looking at, and that's betting. And we know that the XFL is all in on betting.
Loves it.
Completely in on it.
Loves them some gambling.
They're showing it during the broadcast, showing it on the little scoreboard, as they call it, just the display. Commentators are talking about it. So that proved to work out for them. So according to a report from Action Network, sports bettors were all in on XFL's 2020 season openers. The report states that the total amount bet was 20 times larger than the entire handle of bets on the AAF. So that's 8 weeks of football for the AAF compared to 4 games that we've seen, and it's already more betting.
Yeah.
So that's huge. I mean, we knew that was going to be a key to them sticking around with sports betting. But the thing we have to consider, I wrote it here, the thing we have to consider is that back even only a year ago, wasn't as many states that allowed sports betting, so you have to take that into account. More people are allowed to bet on sports now legally. Not every state still.
So weird that that's a thing.
Yeah, that is weird, huh? But it's a couple states now, but it's definitely more than it was when the AAF was around. So still not every state. So that number could continue to go up. FanDuel spokesman Kevin Hennessy, that's a cool name, Hennessy.
K. Hennessy, bro.
He spoke on the large betting numbers. He said, "We saw momentum build on the XFL as the weekend progressed. Handle on XFL games increased 55% from Saturday to Sunday. Bet count increased 31% from Saturday to Sunday." So they saw Saturday, people saw, maybe they weren't as clued in like we are, like we knew leading up to the season they were going to have this betting thing in there.
Yeah.
Maybe the casual viewer didn't know that. They're watching the game. They're like, holy shit, they're talking about the spreads and the over-unders.
The unders on the
I'm
screen.
betting on this. And so then the next day, Sunday, they're like, bet. And we put all my fucking bets in.
Yeah.
So that's probably why that jumped so much. So that's good. I'm glad that that's how you need to keep this thing alive. You got to get the betting market interested because it's a huge market right now, especially in sports.
It's so hot right now.
So it's so hot. All right, let's move on to our last story. This one is a story near and dear to my heart. So it was announced today, though it was spoiled yesterday because a beat writer for U of H told us. But it was announced today that by the Houston Sports Authority that the XFL Championship is being held here in H-Town. Houston, what's up?
H-Town,
TDECU Stadium. It's going to be held at TDECU Stadium, home of the UH Cougars, home of the Houston Roughnecks. You got to remember that the XFL held its training camps for all 8 teams in Houston back in January. So it seems clear the league was impressed with the handling of that event by the city. So they decided to come back, and they're going to host an even bigger event, their biggest event probably.
Yes.
So that's pretty cool. Championship game take place on a Sunday, April 26th, 3 p.m. ESPN if you're going to watch it on TV. TDCU holds 40,000, so that should be good enough to hold everyone that goes. That's way larger than any of the games. But you'd assume their championship game if they continue to do well, if they make it to a championship game, should draw. If they keep up the momentum they had last weekend, into all the way up to that championship game, 40,000 is not unrealistic. I'd say the only other field they were considering probably was Audi Field, just because of how good it looked. Audi Field.
Audi's like
how good it looked on TV because it's so small.
Yeah, Audi is how like Europeans pronounce it. It's like Audi. Audi. Oh, mate.
So Audi Field. Audi Field looked really good on TV, so I think that was probably in consideration too. But it's small. Maybe they thought, because ticket sales have been crazy. I was gonna write that in here, but I think I don't completely trust the numbers yet. But we'll wait till they're official. Some things I'm seeing are like 27,000 tickets sold for like the Dragons opener, and close to 30,000 for the Battlehawks opener and stuff like that.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So if they can pull those kind of numbers, 40,000 is going to be packed if they can get that consistently.
Yeah.
Good thing they didn't pick a stadium like MetLife, which is huge, because that would have looked awful on TV.
Yes.
Like it did during the Guardians game.
Yes.
So, all right. So I'm going to go to that game, I think. I got to see the prices. That shit's like $300. I don't know about that.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if it fits in the
Closest
budget.
thing I get to going to a Super Bowl.
GoFundMe/XFL Extra Point. No, just kidding.
Yeah, get us. Maybe I could get press credentials and I could get in like free.
That would be absurd, but awesome.
I've seen some other people who are like around the same kind of.
You should probably apply for them now if you can. Then, or is there like a timetable? I don't know how that works actually, so I don't know.
I don't either, but I know some people have been allowed to cover their local team, and they're not like people hired for ESPN.
Yeah,
people like us.
Yeah, well,
who just love the game and then started making content about it. So. I'll look into it. If I can get in press credential and get in the press box and shit, that'd be really cool.
That would be very nice.
That would be really cool.
That'd be nuts.
I would say, if I got 2 press passes, would you come on Sunday, April 26th?
Oh God, I'd have to work it out with my current place of employment and also school, but an effort would be made for sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Well, I'm just throwing it out there.
All right.
That's news and notes for this week. Let's get into our big chunk of the show. What are we at time-wise? Like 17 minutes?
Yeah.
This is going to be a shorter show.
That's okay with me.
Probably around that 40-minute range.
That's okay.
Yeah, you're tired.
Yes.
So let's get through this. All right. So I'm going to lay this out right at the beginning. So I know last week, I don't know if no one said anything, but then I've thought about it since and it might be confusing.
Yeah.
Odds and over-unders are different like everywhere you go.
Yes.
So all of my odds and over-unders are based on Fox bets.
Mm-hmm.
Just so you know. Just so everyone knows.
All right.
So let's get into it. Let's start with the first game of the weekend. New York Guardians at DC Defenders. Defenders getting to host the first game of the weekend again. But this time, so they're at Audi Field again. It's a great looking stadium. I'm glad it's not at MetLife. That should be fun. So do you want to get started on this? Do you want me to start on this?
I will start on this.
All right.
Okay. So are we just saying if they cover the spread first or...
Let's save that for the end. I guess I should say what the spread and the shit is anyway.
Okay.
All right. The Defenders are favored by 6.5 points. The over/under for this game is 47.5. But we'll save the final score and our predictions for the last thing we say.
Okay. So am I just talking about who I think's gonna win?
Yeah, you just talk about what you see going on in this game.
Okay.
What's making you?
So, week 1 of the XFL came and went, and we kind of saw a lot of teams not necessarily clicking. I think the Defenders had some very bright spots on offense, but I think they had some kind of kinks to work out offensively. I think their defense looked better than it is.
Right.
But maybe I'm wrong about that. So
I think the same could be said for both teams here.
yes, that's true. It's especially true in the Guardians case, actually. I still really do think the Guardians have a very talented front seven. I still have questions about their secondary. I want to see them play against a better team than the Vipers.
Right.
But overall, I think the Defenders' offense will begin clicking more, and I think they'll come out on top here.
So you're picking the Guardians.
No, I'm picking the Defenders. I'm picking the Defenders.
Oh, you're picking the Defenders. Okay.
Yes.
All right. What's your score?
Jesus. I'll say 24 to 14.
24-14 defenders. So you have them covering the spread. You have the under on the over-under.
Yes. Until I see otherwise, I'm probably going to hammer the under for most of these.
That's fair.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so for me, this one, I break this down similarly every game, how I'm deciding who's going to win. Mm-hmm. So I look at the QB matchup first. So we're looking Matt McGloin, Cardale Jones. Cardale Jones didn't look as efficient and didn't look as poised as Matt McGloin did.
Yep.
But you also have to take into account who they played week 1. Dragons are, I said abysmal before the season, but they impressed me. I think they looked better than I thought they would be. I think they were the better defense between the Vipers and the Dragons. So I would say Cardale played the harder defense. I feel like I'm still leaning into potential with Cardale. I think Cardale's the better matchup here between Matt McGloin and Cardale. I just think Matt McGloin will probably make less mistakes, but Cardale's bound to make more big plays, and I think that'll help him out. So I'm giving the edge to the defenders there in terms of the quarterback matchup.
Yes.
All right. So other thing, the Dragons, they brought plenty of pressure on Cardale. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of working. That's why he made some mistakes. He was missing some throws. He did break a fair amount of sacks to get out of the pocket pretty well. Mm-hmm. But I assume with what we saw the Guardians do against the Vipers, we're going to see them do it against the defenders here again, since it kind of worked when the Dragons did it against Cardale. So expect a lot of pressure. Both defenses are excellent, but then again, same thing with the offenses.
Yeah.
Neither team played a top-notch offense, so I can't really, we already talked about this, what defenses, how good are they really?
Yeah.
And that's kind of hard to tell just based on week 1. But I think they played opponents that are kind of similar in talent, and I'd say the Vipers and the Dragons just kind of similar in terms of how much talent they have. I'd give the edge to the Guardians in terms of defense, just because I think there's some players on there that I love, like Jamar Summers. Mm-hmm. I love their front seven. They brought a lot of pressure. I feel like both teams they played made a bunch of mistakes. The Vipers and Dragons made a bunch of mistakes. But I think the turnovers and things like that were more like mistakes by the Dragons. Like one of the interceptions for sure was just Austin Pearl slipping. Whereas all the turnovers, things like that, actually seemed like good plays by this defense with the Guardians. So I'm giving the edge to the Guardians there in terms of defense. One thing I want to point out, all right, I actually just read somewhere that Donnell Pumphrey is on the depth chart in first place ahead of Jarrell Presley.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see what that's gonna look like. If the depth charts can't be trusted, which they couldn't last week, so very well they could not be trusted. Jarrell Presley gets more snaps. I think one of their running backs for the defenders is going to have a good day. Maybe all of them will have decent days, and it'll just be a good, yardage on the ground for the team as a whole. But the Guardians last week gave up 150 yards on the ground against a lackluster Vipers team. And I was saying it before the season started that I think the run game can work for the defenders because Cardale opens up the field so much you can't really stack the box against him. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking for maybe Jarrell Presley or Donnell Pumphrey to have a good game. Other thing I want to note on this game as a whole is that I'm glad we're seeing this first. Yeah. In week 2.
Yeah.
Because they need to keep momentum.
Yes.
So I think this is one of the best matchups. I think there's 2 really good matchups. I should have pointed this out when we started this whole discussion, but both 2-0 teams, or all 4 2-0 teams, all 4 1-0 teams are playing each other, and all 4 0-1 teams are playing each other. So we're going to have 2 undefeated teams and 2, what's the opposite of undefeated? Defeated?
Yep, definitely defeated.
Only defeated?
Only defeated.
So there's going to be 2 only defeated teams and then 2 undefeated teams.
Jesus.
At the end of this. Mm-hmm. I know, my words are mixing me up. But you get what I'm saying. There's going to be 2 2-0 teams, 2 0-2 teams.
Yes.
So that's going to be interesting. Kind of weird the schedule worked out that way. So the only thing one thing I'm noting here with the Guardians in terms of their injuries is they've got 2 big injuries on their starting offensive line.
Yes, my son Garrett Brumfield is out with a head injury. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and
yes, I'm looking at the wrong one. Yes, a head injury.
And then Ian Silberman.
Yes.
So they're missing 2 starters on that offensive line, according to their depth chart. So that causes problems, especially if the defenders, and it's their left guard and their center, or their right guard and their center. So if the defenders decide that they're going to bring pressure up the middle, that could be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the defenders, relatively healthy. I think they have nagging injuries, but I don't think anyone's been kept out of practice fully. And so they should be able to pull off what they did last weekend. So I have the defenders winning as well. I'm going 22-30 defenders. Defenders covering the spread, but I'm betting the over, whereas you bet the under. So that's the only difference we have here.
All right.
So, and this is going to be the first time we're keeping track of over and unders because they didn't have them last week.
Yeah.
This is the first week we're actually getting them before. So, all right. So, anything else you want to say on that game before we move on?
Nope. I think we covered it.
All right. Let's get it. All right. Moving on to the second game of Saturday. It's the Tampa Bay Vipers at the Seattle Dragons. The Vipers here, surprisingly, favored by 3 points.
Yeah.
After that abysmal showing by them.
Yeah.
The over-under is 44.5, so that's lower than the game previously.
Mm-hmm.
I'll start us off on this. So, obviously, both teams were shit last week.
Yes.
But I think the Vipers were more shit.
Yes.
Like, at least the Dragons scored some points. There's question marks for QB at both teams. We actually know now, officially, Aaron Murray is out. Aaron Murray is not playing.
All right.
Not due to him being benched, due to him being injured. So, he's out.
I feel like it's a little bit of both.
He didn't participate in practice
All right.
all week.
All right.
So, we'll take it. But the bad news here, because you think it'd just be Quentin Flowers time, right?
Yeah.
Well, according to what I've been reading and according to various sources, Taylor Cornelius is taking the first team reps, not Quentin Flowers.
Interesting. So he played at Oklahoma State, and
yes, I watched some of his tape. He was pretty good.
He was okay. He has some placement issues, and he's.
I was gonna say his accuracy's off, but he has a better arm than Aaron Murray.
Yes, he's almost a completely different quarterback from Aaron Murray. So that's interesting.
You know who he reminded me of?
Who?
When I was watching him, and this is a rough comparison.
Yes,
Luis Perez.
Luis.
I kind of saw it. I was like, huh.
It looks similar.
So, he's actually pretty mobile. Mm-hmm. He can actually run.
Yeah, he can move.
Despite being like 6'6".
Yeah.
Gigantic dude.
Yes, large man.
That actually, so I was going into this when I wrote these notes initially. I'm going off the cuff here now.
All right.
Since I've watched the tape. I was just shitting on this because I was like, if Taylor Cornelius is playing and he's worse than Aaron Murray, this is going to be even worse shit.
Yeah.
And they're going to not play Quentin Flowers. If Taylor Cornelius is better than Aaron Murray, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
My hope and our argument that you can watch on YouTube that I clipped was I just don't like Aaron Murray.
Mm-hmm.
I might be down for Taylor Cornelius. I mean, we'll see what he can do. They should. The other thing I'm saying is they should be mixing in Quentin Flowers more than they did last week. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if I trust that.
Yeah.
Some of the things I read was Quentin Flowers in for certain packages.
Yes.
What are you gonna say?
I was just gonna say the fact that if they do march out Cornelius to start the game, then that really makes me question Quentin Flowers' passing ability. Because if he was kind of the go-to second option last game, and they have a full week of practice, and then he's not the starter, then that's like oof. So,
but I would say it might be just stuck in Mark Trestman's head that like no, we just need to keep him as he needs to be our Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill.
Like we need to just keep him and then throw him out there, and teams are like, what the fuck do I do? And then we get big gains.
See,
we don't use him too much so that people can game plan for him.
So say that, but say it with like minus 20% excitement, and then you're probably correct about Mark Trestman. But like, well, that's true. he's
But I'm actually more optimistic.
Yeah.
Because Taylor Cornelius is playing and not Aaron Murray.
Like I said, he's honestly a completely different type of quarterback. He's not so much the intermediate passing game. He actually can, with Oklahoma State.
He can chuck it deep.
Yeah, he can, he can throw it long. So we'll see. Kind of, I don't want to say a whole new Vipers team because I don't think that they're good in other spots, but maybe they'll have more.
They have good wide receivers. I'll still hold that point true. I was impressed by what I saw. Some wide receivers. Especially, so when I was going and putting together that tape of us arguing.
Yeah.
That little excerpt.
Yeah.
I had to watch the whole game again and cut out clips that were useful.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, fucking Aaron Murray got bailed out a lot.
Yes, he did.
There was so many of those, like, where you threw it over the middle and the guy got crushed by two defenders.
Yeah, they
still held on to it.
Yeah, ugh. I hate watching those because
Yeah.
those make me wince. But yeah, so hopefully they can kind of attack the field more and not be as predictable. Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
like I said, I don't think it's going to be a whole new Vipers team. But I think maybe if they kind of change it up a little bit, they'll be a little more successful.
Right. So that's my thought on the Viper situation. Now let's talk Dragons quarterback situation. Brandon Silvers didn't practice most of the week, though he ended up being limited in practice, and I think he was a full participant today.
Mm-hmm.
And he is listed as probable. So we're not going to see BJ Daniels. We're probably going to see Brandon Silvers again.
All right.
I'm not as down on Brandon Silvers as I am on Aaron Murray.
Yeah.
But Brandon Silvers needs to show me in this game against a defense that's not as good as the Defenders' defense, in my opinion, that he's not going to make the same mistakes that he did. There were some mistakes, and they shot themselves in the foot in that game. They were in that game until the mistakes started happening.
Yes.
So if he showed flashes of being, good. I wouldn't say good. Being okay.
Being all right.
I'm trying to he's not showing he's never gonna probably break my top 4, top 5.
Yeah.
But he could probably be a starter for the Dragons and not have a problem.
Yeah.
Unless he shows me again this week against a team that's not as good that he's gonna make the same mistakes.
Some would say he's the Jimmy Garoppolo of the XFL.
Yeah. If his team's good around him, he'll be fine.
Yes.
I feel like. At least that's what I take away from last week.
Yeah.
Now we'll see if he repeats last week where he makes a bunch of mistakes, throws more interceptions, anything like that, I'm going to be questioning, and then we need to start taking a hard look at BJ Daniels. But I'm not ready to count him out completely yet. I thought he wouldn't play because of injury. He is. I think it's right to start him.
Yes.
That's what I'd say.
Yes, I would definitely agree.
And I can't give anyone a point here for who wins the quarterback matchup. I don't really know. With Taylor Cornelius, I'm going to have to wait and see on him. From what I saw of the tape, he seemed good. So
Yes.
I can't really give anyone a point, so I'm going to hold off on that.
All right.
I'm going to move on to defenses. All right.
All right.
Let's talk about defenses.
Let's do it.
They were both not great.
No. They were poor.
But the Dragons were less not great.
Yes.
And
Less.
they faced, I think, a better offense.
Yes. I agree.
Plus? Didn't you say plus?
No, I said yes, I agree.
Oh, I thought you said plus and you were going to add something.
No, sorry.
Okay. Where was I? Yeah. So that's really all. That's so I'm giving the edge to the Dragons defense there.
Okay.
I just think they looked better against a better offense.
Yep.
So that's why I'm giving the edge there. As far as injuries, both teams absolutely decimated by injuries.
Yeah.
2 tight ends on the injury report for the Dragons.
Which is rough.
Yeah. And DeAndre Goolsby.
Goolsby.
He's I think he's listed as, let me see, is he listed as questionable?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, listed as questionable. And then they have another tight end who's out, I'm pretty sure. So they have questions at tight end. I think Austin Prohl showed up, so that's good that they have that weapon. They don't have a ton of weapons though.
Yeah.
They also have 2 injuries to offensive line starters, their center and left guard. That leaves them vulnerable to pressure up the middle, like was the case with the Guardians.
Yes.
I'd say those injuries, because Seattle has so many, I mean, they have an absolute shit ton. Let me look at this again. They have so many people out and questionable and doubtful that I think that might low-key be the reason that they're favored here.
Yeah.
But we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
So the only last thing I have written here is we have to remember that the Vipers did get several opportunities in the red zone. Their offense can move the ball. If they can limit mistakes, they can definitely win the game. But I'm not going to be betting on that to happen, especially when the Dragons have the better defense. So I'm going with the Dragons here. Small margin, but enough margin to cover the spread. And actually, I guess they cover the spread if they just win. So
Yeah.
I have the Dragons winning straight up. So
All right.
spread screwed here.
Spread
All right,
screwed
so
here. Okay.
16-22 Dragons. 16-22, that's, what is that, 38? That's under 44.5, so I'm betting the under here.
Yeah.
Dragons, and I'm betting the under.
Yes. Same for me. I think the Dragons, while they did lose and they didn't exactly look great last week, I think they played a better team. And I think they I think they have a better team than the Vipers. We'll see how Cornelius does if he's the one that gets marched out. He's kind of an unknown at this level, so maybe he balls out. But honestly, I mean, I think the Dragons win this. I'm gonna say Dragons 14-3.
Oh wow, you're giving the Vipers going to score 3 points again.
Yeah.
Ooh, back-to-back 3 point. Do you think it'll be like similar to last game, where they're like, oh, we just don't want to get shut out, so we're going to kick a field goal when we're in the red zone?
I think they'll have a decent drive early, and then it'll be like, yeah, Taylor Cornelius is the answer, and then it'll just go downhill from there. So
you said 14-3?
Yes, 14-3.
All right. So you're betting the under here. Are you going to bet the under on all of them?
Most likely, yes. Yes, absolutely, yes.
Okay, let's move on then. All right, let's get into our Sunday games. We're starting the weekend or the Sunday off with Dallas Renegades at LA Wildcats. Renegades here favored by 4 points. The over/under is 48.5.
Yeah.
First thing we have to mention here, it seems very, very likely that both quarterbacks are coming back.
Yes.
So we're gonna have Josh Johnson and Landry Jones on Sunday.
Yes.
Landry Jones for sure. We know that.
Okay.
I believe Josh Johnson is probable.
Okay.
So, do you want to start this off?
Yeah, I do actually, because I want
Alright.
to start talking about how the Wildcats are imploding already.
Yeah, it does seem that way from the outside.
Yeah, so they already fired their defensive coordinator after one game, and after playing
R.I.P. Pepper Johnson.
Pepper Johnson, yes, after playing probably the best offense in the XFL, and also they cut who I chose to be the defensive MVP for the year in Anthony Johnson. Now, I mean, whether
Thomas Curse.
Yes, Thomas Curse. It's alive and well. I may. Now, there's a lot of things that might have happened that we don't know about. Like he might have asked for his release, or he might have, done something.
I believe that was the report coming out of it. Is that after Pepper Johnson was fired, they were close, and so he asked for his release.
Oh, well, that's stupid.
I believe that is what came out of it.
Okay, well then that's dumb. Disappointing because I really wanted to see him. I want to see him play well, and I really thought the Wildcats had a really good shot to win, as I picked them as my XFL championship game a winner. And since I said it and spoke it into existence, it will not be correct. I still think the Wildcats have a pretty good team, especially with Josh Johnson maybe coming back this week. So if Josh Johnson doesn't come back, who's their quarterback?
Jalen McClendon, who looked absolutely awful.
Awesome.
In his limited snaps last week. I think he ended up with 4 passes. He went 0-4, and one of them was an interception.
Great. Well, that's stupendous. So if Josh Johnson comes back, I think the Wildcats will field a pretty good team. If he doesn't, then oh boy. So moving over to the Renegades. Last week we saw the Renegades still had a really, really good defense. Looked very good against the Battlehawks. Little kind of a very simple offense, but we don't really know how much of that was because Philip Nelson was in a quarterback, or how much of that was just their offense. I'm hoping with Landry Jones back, they open it up a little more and give their running backs some room to work. Because I think they do still have a talented running back room. I think they just there was nothing there against the Battlehawks, so they couldn't really do anything. Looking at injuries, really nothing really major for the Renegades. The only one who did not participate is one of their D linemen, your boy Haloi Kikaha. Yes,
limited.
Has a wrist injury, limited participation. He'll probably be fine. Maybe that's why he was held out of so many plays last week.
Maybe.
Looking at the Wildcats, nobody super important. Jalen Dunlap is important, actually, because I believe he's their starting corner. He did not participate, so that's rough. A lot of limited participation, so we'll see what happens there. But the main thing is going to be what quarterback they trot out. As of right now, I'm picking the Renegades to win. I'll say 24-10. So the Renegades win, and they'll cover the spread, and that's the under. So.
All right. For me, you said most of the things I'd say.
Yes.
They're absolutely screwed if Josh Johnson can't go because Jalen McClendon looked real bad.
Yeah.
So that's something we just got to keep an eye on. The only thing that scares me with that is does that mean they're kind of forcing Josh Johnson to go?
I doubt it.
They know.
I doubt.
I hope they're not, because one of his features is that he's a mobile quarterback, and you don't want an injured mobile quarterback rolling out there, and then he gets hit and then he's injured even worse. That would suck.
I think we'll be able to see that pretty quick, just in his dropbacks and how he's moving around. Because if it's an injury that held him out of a game to his leg, and if it's not 100%, I think you'll be able to see that pretty quick. So
yeah. So I wrote a lot of these notes here before we got confirmations on Landry Jones going. So all of those are pretty much moot at this point.
Yep.
I guess the same thing could be said for them. I think the thing I'm scared of is the similar thing I was scared of with Josh Johnson. Sean Oakman, so he led the league in quarterback hits.
Yeah.
And if you got an injured Landry Jones rolling out there against Sean Oakman, I'd be worried about that. So hopefully he's fully healthy and he's not going to have any problems.
Yeah.
As you said, nothing devastating on injury front. Charles Knopf is the only big one, I think. But that shouldn't be a factor, really. Hopefully Josh Johnson's there. And so, yeah. I think even if, okay, so let's say if Josh Johnson wasn't going to play at all, and it was just going to be Chad Kanoff and not Jalen McClendon, I think they still don't have much of a chance because the Renegades defense is so good.
Yeah.
They held the Battlehawks, who looked like they have a good quarterback, apparently.
Mm-hmm. Apparently.
And they have a good offense and a good running game. They only held them 15 points, so
yeah.
With the return of Landry, all that factoring in, I don't think the Wildcats have much of a chance here. I think I wrote something here. I don't see it, but they did give up a lot of rushing yards. The Renegades did. So let's see. Maybe Elijah Hood and Larry Rose can start doing something. I don't know.
Hopefully my boy Larry Rose does something after I hyped him up.
Yeah. But you've hit most of the points. I guess let's talk about Josh Johnson or Landry Jones, who wins that quarterback matchup.
If Josh Johnson is healthy, I think it's Josh Johnson. I think there'll be more done for Landry Jones in his offense to succeed than there will be for Josh Johnson to succeed in his. By that I mean, like, the system is more fitting to Landry Jones's talents than the system for the Wildcats would be, just because that's how the Stoops offense would work. There's a lot of like safety blankets and protection and all that. So I think Josh Johnson is the better player.
Yeah, I wouldn't take anything away from Philip Nelson. I think he
played well.
What he can do, he was pretty efficient. Like his percentages were.
I think he played well. I mean, I think they just kind of kept it simple, but that's fine. Yeah. I think he played well. With
I just hope they take a few more shots.
Yeah,
that's really.
I hope Jazz Ferguson turns around.
Yeah, that'd be nice too. All right, so my prediction is going to be 13-26 Renegades.
All right,
so they're definitely covering the spread here. The spread's only at 4. And it's the under. It's close, but it's the under.
Yes.
So, all right, let's move on to our final game. What time are we at? Oh, we're gonna hit that 45-minute mark around there. I knew we were gonna do it. All right, so last game we're gonna talk about. This is my favorite game of the week, and I'm excited to watch this one.
I am as well.
And shit talk you the whole time.
That's fine.
My live tweeting for this one might be a little more
mean.
A few more just shots at you than it is actually talking about the game. But we'll see. All right, we got the Battlehawks at the Houston Roughnecks. This is going to be a fun one. Roughnecks are favored by 8 points in this one.
Yep.
Got the over-under at 50.5. I think that's the biggest over-under of the week.
Yep.
All right, I'll start it off.
Okay.
So right off the bat, matchup of the week. It's our teams, but it really is the matchup of the week because these are two really good teams and two of the best teams in the league. Both have good offenses. Both have good defenses, though. I'd give that, to the Battlehawks in terms of their defense. I think it's better than the Roughnecks defense. But on the other hand, I think the Roughnecks offense is better than the Battlehawks offense.
Yes.
So we'll have to see.
I would agree.
QB matchup. This is going to be a fun one to look at. All right. So these are two of the top 3 quarterbacks in the XFL right now, in my opinion.
Yes.
So, but I'm giving Philip Walker the edge
because
I like his arm talent more.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a bias, but I like his arm talent more. I think Tamu wins in terms of like as a rusher.
Mm-hmm.
I think his legs are more of a weapon, but I feel like Philip Walker is more shifty at scrambling, not so much rushing for first downs and things like that.
Yep.
I think he can escape pressure more than Tamu can.
Yeah.
And especially with the Battlehawks, they bring pressure, and they did last week. So I'm hoping Philip Walker can, make the most of that. So I was looking into the stats deeper with the Roughnecks defense because I've kind of been like, they're not as good as I thought they were, but I think they were you're going to hate when I say this. You ready to vomit, Donis?
I'm ready to vomit.
according to PFF, they were the top-ranked defense this week, or last week. So now sometimes I'll look at PFF and I'll just look at their stats and things that I actually think are important, and not look at their grades because I don't really give a fuck what they're taking into account. But I'll look at things that I would care about. Mm-hmm. And so the Roughnecks last week led the league with 16 quarterback hits.
Yep.
It's a lot of quarterback hits.
That's many quarterback hits.
That was against the Wildcats.
Yes.
But we do think the Wildcats have a good offensive line.
That we do.
But I also think the Battlehawks have a very good offensive line, actually based on tape.
Yes.
And actually watching them.
Yes.
So I think their offensive line, especially against that Renegades defense.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're bringing the pressure like they did, 16 quarterback hits, I guess I expect them to lean on the run again, like they did.
Yeah.
They had 41 attempts or something like that.
Yep.
On the ground. The problem with that philosophy, though, is now when we start looking at the injury report.
Yes.
Matt Jones, limited. What was his status been changed? Do I have that? I would have wrote it in there if it would have been probable or anything. No, okay. So he is just limited. But Keith Ford, who's another guy I like, is out. Okay,
that's bad.
So yeah, if Matt Jones doesn't go, and we're going to be left with. So I expect them to lean on the run, but they're going to be forced to settle with Christian Michael, who last week recorded a whopping 7 rushing attempts for 0 yards.
Yes.
Now you like Christian Michael to jump back.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I think he's still a talented football player. I think last week was just he was just bad. He was just a bad game. I mean, it happens. Him slipping and fumbling was awful, but I mean, bad games happen. Hopefully, it doesn't happen again. Mm-hmm. So.
All right. I think it's just going to be fun to watch the Roughnecks front seven go up against a strong Battlehawks offensive line. Yeah. So, as I said, 16 QB hits for the Roughnecks last week. Mm-hmm. Well, the Battlehawks last week allowed just 7 total pressures.
Yes.
So, that's going to be a fun matchup. So, we'll see who wins that battle.
Yes. What I'm not excited for is to see the Battlehawks O-line run blocking, because they struggled mightily with that last week. But it was against the Renegades, so maybe just the Renegades won.
We'll have to see how that goes.
Yes.
All right, so my prediction, this is going to be a high-scoring game. I'm betting the over on this one.
All right.
26-33 Roughnecks win.
Okay.
But they do not cover the spread. And am I making the same mistake? Because this is kind of similar to what I guessed last week.
Yeah.
Against the Wildcats, where I had them winning but not covering the spread.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm doing again. But I don't think they'll cover the spread, but I think they will win straight up. Roughnecks win straight up.
All right.
And I'm betting the over.
All right.
Anything you want to say about this game?
I think this will be a good test for Jordan Ta'amu. I think he'll actually, this might be one of the games where he struggles a little bit. I think we'll kind of see the issues that were not minor last game, but I think they'll be magnified in this game. I think there'll be times where he can take a shot downfield, but will instead choose to run it. I think we'll see that a lot, especially with the Roughnecks front seven being as it is. I think if Matt Jones ends up not playing or is not 100%, that's going to hurt a lot.
Yeah.
Because I think even if Christian Michael is doing well, I think the 1-2 punch and the kind of change of pace you get going from Matt Jones to Christian Michael, I think, is very underrated. So that's going to hurt a lot. Keith Ford being out sucks, because Keith Ford was kind of the happy medium between the two. He can kind of do it all. Yeah. Roughnecks, I think they're going to continue having the offensive talent to do whatever they want. I definitely give the edge in quarterback here to Phillip Walker, because he's just better right now. There's no reason to say Jordan Ta'amu has the edge right now, because he does not. And I like Jordan Ta'amu.
You do.
I'm actually going to change my mind here. I'm actually going to pick the over on this game.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And that's part of that's also because I really, really want to see a high-scoring offensive battle between these two teams, because that's of all the two teams that I want, it's definitely these two teams. So I'm going to say, I'll say kind of similar to your score. I'll say 35 to 24 Roughnecks.
Okay.
Yes.
So you actually have the Roughnecks winning by more. Does that cover the spread? Wait, 20?
Yes, it does, because the spread is
35. 9 points. Okay,
yep.
So 11 points. Am I doing my math right? You say 35 to 24?
Yes. So
okay, so he's covering the spread. All right, covering the spread, and you're betting the over.
Yes.
35-24 Roughnecks. All right, that's our predictions. We'll keep track and we'll see who wins all those next week. Yeah. All right. Well, that's our show this week. I think it was good. I think we got pretty in depth. These ones are shorter, but then who knows? I'm really hoping next week's recap is not 2 hours. And 15
I
minutes
think
yet.
those will get shorter and shorter the more we do them, because I think that was
How was that so long?
I think it was the first week, and we probably just had a lot of to information to splooge about.
Yeah, it's true.
So, I mean,
Splooge.
absolutely. Are you kidding? 2 hours? That's definitely a splooge.
I think it's because we won't talk as much about overall production and stuff next week. It'll be more just games.
Yes.
So I don't think.
And I actually think the
that was part
ranking of the theme songs was super interesting. So we probably won't spend as much time on whatever clownery we.
I have a couple in mind. I'll pitch them to you.
Okay. Well, I'm down for whatever. So.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, guys.
Yep.
Make sure you follow us on Twitter at XFL Extra Point. If you want to send listener questions, DM us, tweet us, or you can send them to our email, extrapointcontact@gmail.com. We also have a YouTube channel where we're now more readily uploading content.
Yes.
That we normally would have talked about during our shows.
Yes.
But now we're making it content on YouTube.
Watch that killer Sammy Coates video.
Yeah, we had a Sammy Coates video go up. Make sure you guys check out that one. That's all Thomas, so you can...
I don't say it's on me, but
I did some slight editing, but it was pretty much all you.
I think it's sitting at a crisp 24 views at the current moment, so...
I think it's gone up. And then I also cut a little excerpt from our podcast where we were arguing.
Yes.
And I'd like to do that because I think we're going to argue a lot now that the season's actually started.
Yeah, I think we will, because we hold very different opinions. So.
Yeah, we argued for quite a while
Yes.
about Aaron Murray and Quinn Flowers.
Yes.
And that was fun. And we got a little heated there at some points.
Yes.
So
one thing I do want to say about viewer questions, they don't necessarily have to be about XFL football. And
that's true.
I'll leave
if
that.
you guys want to ask viewer question, you say viewer questions? No one's watching our shit. They're listening to our shit.
Listener questions. Excuse me.
Yeah, if you want to ask listener questions about anything, we'll consider it.
Not politics. Don't ask anything about that.
It'll depend what
not
it is.
getting
We don't want
answered
to
if it's
talk about
politics.
things we don't want to talk about. but all right. Well, thank you guys so much. We'll see you on Monday. And catch y'all later.
Boom.
Bye bye.
Boom.